Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Rachel Miller, and I wanted to welcome you all to episode 4 of our 10 Minutes to Highly Effective Service webinar series. The purpose of this series is to focus on just one aspect of providing great dealer service each month. Before we get started, a couple of items to note. Please use the Q&A button at the bottom of your Zoom toolbar if you have a question or a comment for either of our speakers today. There will be a Q&A portion at the end of the presentation. We would also appreciate it if you would complete the brief survey that will pop up on your screen once the webinar has ended. Your speakers for today are Text2Drive's Chief Relations Officer, Lori Becker, and eAdvisor's Brian Michaels, Senior Sales Engineer. And with that, I will pass things off to Brian.
Hi, everyone. Dealership marketing plans can be complex. In this webinar, we'll focus on a crucial part of that plan, the customer lifecycle communications. Lifecycle is defined as the series of changes in the life of an organism, including reproduction. I like that definition, so let's work with that. The vehicle sale is born. As the vehicle ages, it needs interval service and repairs until it's time for a new one. For new car dealers, it's about keeping them coming back again and again for their service and parts needs, so you can sell them their next vehicle and start the cycle all over again. It's no secret that customers have more and more choices when it comes to the vehicles they buy and where they have them serviced. The most important thing you can do is to stay in touch and in front of them at consistent, pre-planned intervals throughout the life of the vehicle to prevent defection. This must start immediately. With oil change intervals being extended further and further, the likelihood for a customer to defect grows much greater. If they don't hear from you in 3 or 4 months after they purchase or after their last service, they may just assume that you forgot about them. They'll be reminded, however, by the other shops in town. Or they'll just swing in someplace to have an oil change performed because they just think it's time. They will likely be over-servicing their vehicle, and they're going to be a little irritated with you for not communicating with them. I get it, but Brian, we have a sales orientation and a handoff process to get them back in for service. Well, it's not enough. No matter how much you explain things at delivery, it's generally accepted that they are not going to remember half of it. You need to stay in front of them, and specifically with information about their vehicle, and do that throughout the ownership period.
Remember direct mail? It was expensive but effective, so we used it. Then email came along. It was cheap, so we could use that a lot. Think about your own inbox. How many messages are in there today? I know plenty of people with thousands or even tens of thousands of messages in their inbox. I'm one of them. What about a junk email address you have to give to those businesses who want to send you advertising? The truth is, new emails are going to get pushed off the screen by other new messages really fast. And the bottom line is, unless we're looking for a particular message, odds are it'll never be read. Direct mail is making a little bit of a comeback to get your customers' attention. It's great for promotions, but direct mail is still not timely, nor is it specific enough. Plus, it looks like the other junk mail you get, and oftentimes it can get thrown out with other stuff. Direct mail is just not enough for managing lifecycle communications. Now enter the world of texting. It's hands down the most effective way to communicate with your customers during the life cycle of their vehicle. Using the information from your DMS, you can use texting to send your customers quick reminder messages, important messages about their vehicle, or even notify them of upcoming events.
Okay, we sold a car, ring the bell, that's awesome. But dealers today look at more than just the gross profit generated on the day of the sale. When a vehicle is sold, according to industry standards and benchmarks, the dealer should be able to count on a whole lot more gross profit from that sale from future service and part sales. And this should be one of the more reliable numbers in your forecast. I mean, that's why they call it fixed operations. Let's take a look. When you sell a new vehicle, you should expect to see that vehicle in for service an average of 3 times per year, with an average of 1.8 hours of labor sold, and part sales equivalent to the dollar value of that labor. So let's do the math on that. You can plug in your own numbers later. Let's use an effective rate of 125. The equation looks like this: 15 visits over 5 years, times 1.8 hours of labor per visit, times your rate calculates the labor sales. Now double that number to include part sales, and then apply a 50% gross profit percentage on the parts and the labor. Now that's $3,375 in gross profit on each vehicle you sell. How does that compare to the gross profit you made on the car sale itself? But there is a caveat: should. I say should because according to statistics, that revenue will be generated, but only if you retain them. 10 or 15 years ago, that benchmark was 5 visits per year times 2.5 hours of labor each time. So you can see the market shrink dramatically. The importance of customer retention has never been greater, and the case for lifecycle communications via text grows stronger.
The lifecycle communications needs to start the moment the customer purchases their vehicle. These texts need to be automated. This means they need to be set up on a schedule and turned on so that they get sent automatically every day. They're not just batched up and sent out once a month. It's very important that the right messages are sent at the right time to and from the right person. For example, a thank you text from the sales department should be sent the day after a customer purchases their vehicle, simply thanking them for their vehicle purchase and ensuring they had a great customer experience. This can come from the general manager, the owner, or whoever you feel is best. 1 to 2 weeks after, it's a great time to introduce this customer to your service department and welcome them to your dealership's family. This message could come from your service manager. One very effective method to make sure you get these customers in for that first service visit is to let them know something like, it's been 3 months, and although you do not likely need an oil change yet, come on in and let us fill your windshield washer fluid, check your other fluids, or reset your tire pressure. Statistics show that getting the customer in for that first oil change is crucial to keep them coming back throughout the life cycle of their vehicle.
When the customer arrives for service, they should get a welcome text message to establish the line of communication you'll be using during the service visit. You'll be able to use that line of communication for things like status updates, approvals to perform work, notice of completion, video MPVI information, and perhaps even pay their bill via text. Texting will enhance the speed of your customer communications and dramatically reduce the amount of time it takes to get a response from a customer for approvals and other questions. This will improve technician and stall efficiency. After the customer picks up their vehicle, a thank you text must be sent and a separate CSI reminder after that. If they declined a service recommendation, send a text to remind them about it 4 to 6 days later. Again, all of this needs to happen automatically. You cannot rely on someone to perform this function every single day. It's not going to happen. It needs to be set up to run automatically.
Then start that cycle all over again with a service reminder text that has a link to your appointment scheduler at the interval when you'd like to see your customers back for their next service visit. That's how it's done. It'll all be set up ahead of time and it will run automatically. Plus, you're going to need to send recall notifications, birthday greetings, anniversary messages, lease expiration notices, and more. All of this can be set up and sent via text so that these messages go automatically. Seems like a lot of work, but the opposite is true. Text to Drive will do all of this for you and more. Our 17 automated messages will allow you to set it and forget it. And our customer success managers and our customer support team will be here to keep it dialed in the way you want it to work month after month, year after year. We're going to work with you to set it up, and then we're going to work with you to keep it tuned up. You and your customer success manager will review the valuable reports to show you how it's working and how we can make it even better for you. We're going to make changes to the plan whenever you would like. This is just one deliverable you'll get with Text to Drive, but there are lots more. Use the link to request a more detailed demonstration of the features and benefits that Text to Drive provides. All right, it's now time for some Q&A. Rachel, what questions do you have for us today?
Thank you, Brian and Lori. That concludes this episode of 10 Minutes to Highly Effective Service. We've had some great questions come in, and we have some time to answer those live. How does the system know which number is the customer's cell number to text?
I'll take that one. All numbers are going to be sent through our cell phone indicator. This will search the numbers entered into the customer profile in your DMS to ensure that we're sending the customer's message to the right number to their cell phone, not a landline. That way, if it was entered in the wrong location, it's no problem at all.
Thank you. Can you explain again what you mean about texting the customer at 3 months, even if they don't need an oil change?
Yeah, Laura, I'll take that one, Lori. See, with increased oil change intervals, the customers out on the road could be for 6 months at a time without having an oil change done, and they instinctively they think, shoot, I got to get an oil change done. And they might just swing in someplace, and they're going to get a lot of mailers and things from the local businesses in town. They're going to try to go after their business. So a great way to get them back in, I recommend, is a pit stop style service where you bring them back in, you tell them you're going to refill their washer fluid, set their tire pressure, check their other fluid levels. They don't need an oil change, but at least you can get them in there at 3 or 4 months where they're so connected to you. And then you can do, again, give them something of value like washer fluid refill. It's a minor thing, but they'd be happy to take that from you. And believe me, it will pay dividends for you. So the whole thing is get them back in 3 or 4 months. Don't let them be out on the street for 6 months without any contact from you. Okay. Thank you. Great question.
And is it expensive to send so many texts?
It's not. Text-to-Die is going to allow you to have unlimited users and send unlimited messages, all for one platform price.
Can customers respond to these messages? And if so, who's going to see the message when someone responds?
I'll take that one, Brian.
Okay.
Yes, customers can absolutely respond. It's simply going to open a two-way text. The messages are going to be routed back to whoever you want to receive the incoming message, and we'll set all of this up for you. You can decide which messages you want to send, when you would like them sent, from whom, and who will receive the incoming messages. Also, what that message is going to look like. Once we set this up for you, you never have to look back. This is the set it and forget it piece.
Thank you, Lori and Brian. Thank you to everyone for your time today. And for those of you that submitted your questions, if we didn't have a chance to answer yours live, we'll reach out to you individually. We'll also be sending out a copy of the recording later this week. As a reminder, a survey will pop up once the webinar ends, and we would greatly appreciate your responses. And don't forget to mark your calendars for Thursday, April 11th at 11 a.m. Eastern for episode 5. More details and a pre-registration link will be included in an email immediately following this webinar. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.